Hello, welcome everyone.
Are you than I thought?
Mute yourself.
I don't see you drinking and you're moving. Bum.
Hey.
Good evening.
Okay.
Preparing to live stream on what, on the YouTube channel? Yep. Okay.
Yes, and we are going to again. Everything is connected, and so thank you everyone for being here. And I now hand this to Alice. As a reminder, everyone, let's please make sure that we're muted so we will not interrupt the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. And it's great seeing you all for this important discussion on electric vehicles and the electrification of our transportation system. I'd like to call out the coordinators of this event, California Interfaith Power and Light. I'm Alice Druffel, Southern California Director, as well as Watts Clean Air and Energy Committee and Watts Conda. We have a wealth of speakers available for you this evening who are, along with their organizations, committed to public health, environmental justice, and protecting communities. You will hear stories of organizations that are cleaning up the air for students, focused on reducing transportation pollution, that are making strides in protecting public health, and that focus on EVs and the relation to the power grid. And you'll hear about rebates available if you're interested in buying an EV. But most of all, this event is to give you a glimpse of what is happening in the Watts, South Los Angeles area, a key region in which working solutions to climate change and environmental justice are in place, with a focus on public health, greening the community, and creating jobs. So before our first presenter, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. California's next big goal of emissions reductions is to be at 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. Transportation accounts for roughly 40% of our state's greenhouse gas emissions. And approximately 70% of this 40% is from light duty vehicles, like just the little vehicles that we travel around in, and trucks that weigh 8,500 pounds or less. So there has been now and recently a lot of policies surrounding electric vehicles and trucks in California in the last decade. Notably, in 2018, then Governor Brown issued an executive order calling for 5 million EVs to be on the road by 2030 and the establishment of 250,000 charging stations and 200 hydrogen refueling stations by 2025. Currently, there are roughly 750,000 EVs now on California roadways and roughly 25,000 charging stations. So we have a lot of work to do. There have been multiple studies showing that transportation pollution is linked to cardiac and respiratory illnesses, premature death, and cancer. Some successes have been made, like Senator Connie Leva's smog check bill for large trucks in 2017, but so many more efforts need to be done. So that's just a little bit of background as we go into this presentation. And I'm very happy to welcome our first guest. And I realize our first guest is not here, Yasmin. I do not see Yasmin. So our first guest is Dr. Jo K. Ghosh. She is the Health Effects Officer and Director of Community Air Programs for the South Coast Air Quality Management District. So Dr. Jo K. Ghosh, please take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Allison. It's really great to be here. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. So give me 1 second. Here we go. Can you guys all see my slides? Yep. All right. Thank you so much. So again, my name is Jo K. Ghosh, and I am the Health Effects Officer and Director of Community Air Programs. at the South Coast AQMD, and I'm here to talk about air pollution from transportation sources. First, for those of you who may not be familiar with South Coast AQMD, we are the local or regional air pollution control agency, and we cover the major portions of 4 counties in Southern California. We are a regulatory agency, and we have primary authority over what we call stationary sources. So think of like a factory or a refinery, or even something as small as a gas station. We have our own enforcement division that enforces those regulations. We also have a very active technology office that really tries to advance clean air technologies to help reduce air pollution. You'll be hearing from one of my colleagues, Tom, a little bit later today. We do air monitoring, and we also do public outreach, just like today. So I wanted to start off talking about, just really thinking about all the different sources of air pollution that we have in a metropolitan area like Los Angeles. So first, I think of things like trucks, and there are different kinds of trucks. You've got construction trucks, you've got on-road trucks. You can see there are some at the warehouse. We have a variety of locomotives that help move goods, particularly from the ports to other areas within the state. We obviously have the very large ocean-going vessels, the very large ships that frequent our ports, and of course we have the traffic that we are all so familiar with here in LA. But in addition to that, we also have a lot of other sources. So I mentioned maybe gas stations, right, are one source. We've got large industrial factories, and even some other types of industrial factories that have different types of processes. So you can see there's one that shown in the photo there that does metalworking. But some other sources that we may not think about include wood-burning fireplaces, which turns out is actually a pretty significant source of air pollution in the area. Some smaller sources such as auto body shops, or and also other sources that that we can't regulate, such as large wildfires, of course, are significant sources of air pollution as well. Okay. And so, with all these different sources of air pollution, there's quite a lot of interest in seeing, what is the total health impact of these different sources. And one of the studies that we use to try to answer that question is called the Multiple Air Toxics Exposure Study. So we look at kind of usual emissions of this group of air pollutants that we call air toxics. And that includes things like certain types of metals, it includes diesel exhaust, it includes certain gases such as benzene that you might get from gasoline type sources. And we create what's called an inventory of all of these sources and put it together in a computer model. And then we calculate the cancer risk that is associated just with those air toxics. Now, this doesn't take into account all the other risk factors for cancer. This is specifically looking at just this type of pollution. And you can see back in 2012, when we did this study the last time, you can see the map that's shown here. So the darker areas represent the areas that have more impacts from air toxics compared to the lighter areas. And you can see it pretty much follows what we call the goods movement corridor. So starting from the ports, going into downtown, and then going into the inland areas where a lot of the warehousing is now becoming more and more common. Now, the map on the right is actually data that's still in draft form. We only just released this publicly for the first time last week. And you can see that in a few short years, we were able to actually cut the air toxics impacts by about 50%. So this is still, a really significant change in just these few years. However, I would also point out that you'll notice the areas that are darker are still along those goods movement corridors. So while we have seen improvements, we still see that there's this disproportionate impact, particularly for those communities that are impacted by this type of transportation traffic. Okay. So some key takeaway points. We saw that the air toxics cancer risk decreased by about 50% from 2012 to 2018. And we do see that diesel pollution in particular is responsible for about 2/3 of air toxic cancer risks. So diesel pollution, we think of large diesel trucks. There's also locomotives that run on diesel fuels, and other types of equipment that run on diesel fuel, and that all contributes to this overall air toxics risk. And finally, just wanted to reiterate that regulatory agencies such as the South Coast Agency, we certainly continue to work to help clean up the air here in the South Coast. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop screen share. And happy to address any questions. I'm also going to add my contact information in the chat in case anyone would like to contact me after today's webinar. Thank you.
You're on mute, Alice.
So I just wanted to confirm that we will hear all the speakers first, and we will have question and answer afterwards. And in the meantime, as people are speaking, if any questions occur to you, please drop them in the chat box, and we will make sure to get to your questions. As well, you can see that already our speakers are presenting information that has real life implications for us, especially in Southern California. And we continue with that with Ms. Jacqueline Badejo. She is the head of Watts Conda. She is also a co-chair of the Watts Clean Air and Energy Committee. And she's going to speak for a few minutes and present why electric vehicles and electric transportation is so important to her work in Watts and South LA. So Jackie.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm looking forward to all of the presentations. As Alice mentioned, I work with the Watts Clean Air and Energy Committee, which is under the umbrella of Watts Conda. And with Watts Conda, I will allow you to understand how deep Watts Conda is. It stands for water, air, transportation, telecommunications, and sustainability, connecting with the K, connecting agriculture and natural resources in a demonstration of alliance. And so what brings us here today and on the topic of electric vehicles is a reality. We have legislation on the table, which will affect all of our lives. It'll affect us individually. It'll affect us in the industries that we work for. And just as we position ourselves to be more environmentally sound and lowering carbon emissions, it's also imperative that we utilize this information to educate the community so they will not be left behind in this new movement. Watts Clean Air and Energy Committee has been around for about a little over 7 years, honestly. And what we have come to realize is that disadvantaged communities or underserved communities, whichever language we use from time to time, they have been left behind. We don't want to force something or implement policy and, the people aren't able to understand it. So most definitely, this is for the community today to learn a little more about electric vehicles, what to expect, how you can participate in the movement. The Green New Deal is here. We have certain directives from the mayor's office and from the governor's office. And this is the time. And so I encourage everyone to be empowered in this moment. And also, as we're discussing this, I would like everyone to really think about the economics of this, and then also the younger population, at least from middle school and up, so we can make sure that the workforce development piece is on point. We have excellent partners, Grid Alternatives. They always have openings. They have been training the community, and I've seen people's lives change in a matter of just a day or a couple of weeks of the instruction, and they understand the environmental and the ecological and biodiversity behind it. And so I just thank all the presenters and all the community, all the stakeholders in this movement for being here tonight. And if you have any questions, please visit our website, watsconda.org. The electric vehicles, the infrastructure is another thing that's very important. And as SB 551 has passed, I welcome everyone to let's get a solid plan for excellent infrastructure for the community. Thank you so much.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Jackie. So you hear from Jackie that electric vehicles involve workforce development, involve clean energy jobs, involves protection of public health. And I will be sending out information to all of you on the call of Senate Bill 551 and other ways in which you can be active afterwards as well. I also want to mention we are being streamed live on YouTube, Watts Conda channel right now. So next I bring to the fore Dr. Irela Perez, who is a community outreach specialist from IQ. And she is going to tell us about the ways in which protecting children's lives are happening right now. And if you're not already muted, please mute yourself.
Thank you, Alice. I am going to share my screen and the sound. Okay, and put it on presentation mode. Okay, can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
All righty. Well, thank you for having us here. What's Canda Forever, What's Clean Air Energy Committee in California Interfaith Power and Light. Good evening, everyone. I am Irela Perez, and I am here with two of my colleagues, Nancy and Crystal. They will be also here during the question and answer portion. We are from the IQ Air Foundation, and we were asked to present about the Clean Air for Kids program. You're probably wondering why we are here at an EV webinar. Well, because simply we just share the same goal, clean air. But who is IQ Air Foundation? What do we do, and how can we help you? We are a nonprofit organization. We promote environmental justice, and we improve environmental health. We help the most affected by pollution as a result of economic, ethnicity, and racial factors. And why do we do that? Because we know that everyone breathes air. The question is, what kind of air do you get to breathe? This screen shows the EPA EG screen and the Cal Enver screen. This is the Watts area, and red is the most polluted area. A little bit heartbreaking to see, but I'm sure that you're familiar with this data. This screen is the Markham Middle School area, and these are some schools that have been initially identified by members in your group as potential schools for clean air filtration for the Clean Airs program. These are other schools that are in the Markham area that have not been identified yet, but I just put them here so that you can see also the other school districts that are within your service area. So IQ Air works with local air districts, with environmental justice group, community groups just like you, and school districts. We work on your behalf. We work for you. In order for you to bring cleaner center for the local schools in your area, we IQ Air submit a SEP on your behalf, and a SEP is a supplemental environmental project to CARB, the California Air Resource Board, and we then submit your priorities, the schools that you want to prioritize.
What?
Yep.
I think I can hear someone else mic on. Okay, so what is the road? What is the road to become a clean air for kids' school? What are the steps that needs to happen? You're probably asking yourself a question: how much work is it, and how much does it cost? Well, those are good questions, but I ask, how much does it take to bring justice, right, to our communities, to our kids? How much does it cost to mitigate health damage? We know that pollution is real, whether we see it or not. We know the health damages that cause to our bodies, and the most vulnerable population is our students. Well, it costs nothing. It costs nothing to you, the EJ group, the community group, and it costs nothing to the school district. And the way to become a clean air school process is IQ Air has technicians, professionals, well prepared. They do on-site assessments. Then is the installation part, verification, and continuous monitor and maintenance. But none of this is guaranteed. This is an application process that we do on your behalf. The only thing that is guaranteed is that nothing will happen unless you have that advocacy and we have a letter of support and you identified which schools you want to provide that clean air to. So why air filtration? Well, we know what pollution does, and we know that everything, right, that pollutes the air. But we also have the technology. The technology is there to do this mitigation. We have Nanomax filters technology that removes 95% of harmful fine and ultra-fine particles. We know the difference between clean air and the effect on that body versus not having the access to clean air. And clean buildings do matter. Okay, so how do we monitor? It's very hard to see air, we breathe it, but maybe outside we can see it, that it's polluted, but inside maybe we think we don't see it, so we're safe. So we have the IQ Air Visual, and it's basically a monitor, a sensor, a tool. It's a tool that tells us the air quality. I can hear somebody else's mic. It's a tool that tells us the air quality in the room or outside, and it tracks the quality of the air in real time. It monitors the CO2 level, the PM 2.5, and it gives you emails, or you can download the app. It tells you the real time, or it can generate reports. It tells you what you're breathing currently at the moment. We also have a upcoming curriculum, K2 curriculum, that teach at a young age, young children about their world, air pollution, what they're breathing, the effect on their body, and how to mitigate. We make it very interactive and hands-on. Our objective is to build a better kid. And lastly, to conclude, this is not part of the Clean Air for Kids program, but this is an EV webinar. And we do have a product, the Ultimate Car Air Purifier by IQ Air, and we were asked to share it. So enjoy.
Traffic pollution is more dangerous than you think. Protect yourself and the ones you love. Artem, the #1 car air purifier.
Well, thank you. Clean air is important. You are important. Your work is important. Our children are important, and justice is important. So we're here to help. I'll put my information. My colleagues are here as well.
Thank you so much, Irela. That is really, really great information. You have pointed out how important it is to students, and they're growing, and the importance of clean air that they breathe for 7 hours that they're in the school. And I just wanted to point out that Assembly Bill 841 that was passed in 2020 is a practical example of getting money like this for filtration systems for schools all across California, starting with disadvantaged communities. So it's a win-win situation. So we'll be sharing more information with you after the event is over. So thank you. And I now turn this over to my friend, Ruben Aronin, Senior Vice President of Better World Groups, is doing amazing work in the EV arena. So, Ruben.
Thank you, Alice. Not a doctor by any stretch.
I know, I almost said doctor.
But I'm thrilled to be here with you. And on the schools bill, a big shout out to you and the California Interfaith Power and Light Coalition that helped, along with a number of environmental justice and environmental advocates, get cleaner classrooms. But also as part of that bill, we got hundreds of millions of dollars expedited for electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So great partnership to have. And I'm thrilled to be here with you all, especially with Watts Conda and my friend Jackie Badejo as well. Alice, can you hear me okay? I'm sorry that my mic may be a little, I will speak more clearly. I'm just going to briefly show a couple of slides. Let me know if this is working on your screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. And I just wanted to lay the groundwork for this historic Earth Week. A couple of days ago, Vice President Kamala Harris went to see electric school buses being manufactured. And just yesterday, Vice President Biden was toured a plant in North Carolina to see Proterra electric buses. The electric vehicle future is now. And we are so fortunate to now have a federal administration that isn't fighting with California, but actually is embracing and helping states like ours lead the way. Today also, you'll see a number of states stood with California Governor Newsom to call for 100% of new zero-emission vehicle cars to be sold by 2035 and 100% of trucks by 2045. There's real political momentum. Tomorrow, a group, Advanced Energy Economy, will be releasing a new supply chain report that shows the great workforce gains from manufacturing to EV charging installation to the EV service economy. Lots of good, important momentum at our backs. But if we're going to have 100% EVs, that means that EVs have to be accessible for all Californians. And so I really appreciate the effort of this webinar and of so many of you on the call to help make that happen. While there's a lot of good momentum in the space, sadly, today, the American Lung Association released its 22nd annual State of the Air report. And for all of the leadership that California has exhibited, it really comes out of crisis because we've had such terrible air quality for now generations that is consistent. And while we had a momentary time in the heat of the COVID crisis where transportation truck traffic in particular took a dive and we had clean air for about a month, we continue to have some of the dirtiest air especially in the 5-county region here in Southern California. And so we really need to accelerate the electric vehicle future. While there are good things happening at the federal and state policy level that I'd be happy to answer questions about later, I wanted to lift up one set of pilot projects that the LA Clean Tech Incubator started pre-COVID, but has deployed through the last year and a half with partners like Communities for a Better Environment, with Pacoima Beautiful, with HACLA, and with the Long Beach Conservation Corps. And they are modeling some scalable electric vehicle, car share, and other EV mobility projects in communities in transportation deserts, right, where there's not sufficient access to transit or other mobility options. How do we stand up electric mobility opportunities? And so we're really excited about the momentum of these kind of programs and hoping that federal and state infrastructure investments will prioritize frontline low-income communities to ensure that we're inclusive in creating the EV future for all of our communities. Alice also wanted me to just touch on the fact that we are generating the electricity instead of using, gas from petroleum from a grid that isn't yet 100% clean. And sometimes opponents will say, well, you're still using coal or natural gas plants to generate that electricity. And that is true today for some of our mix. But just last week, Mayor Garcetti announced in his State of the City that Los Angeles and our Department of Water and Power is committed to a 100% renewable power mix by 2035, accelerating by 10 years the state requirement to get to 100%. And we believe that statewide we can accelerate getting to these goals. Not only is our grid getting greener every year, by having electric vehicle cars, trucks, and buses on the road, they can actually absorb some of the overgeneration of renewable power, wind and solar, that we actually have to pay producers not to put on to the grid. We have excess during the daytime of power generation occasionally. And so we could have great distributed storage systems via a proliferated electric vehicle network. So there's real opportunities. We're also able to bring down the costs of electric prices by spreading out our electric system and investing appropriately in a hardening of system. The other thing that's important to think about is we need to build more climate resilient cities. And when we have power outages because of wildfires or other natural disasters, imagine deploying an electric school bus, an electric transit bus, or several light duty EVs that can provide emergency backup power for cell phones, for refrigeration. So it's really an important element and aspect is we're looking at how do we clean up transportation and clean up our grid at the same time. I think, Alice, you had shared that I'm with the Better World Group. We're an organization that works with nonprofits to create successful policy advocacy campaigns and education campaigns on clean energy, climate, and clean transportation programs. And we have a newly launched racial justice practice to elevate the leadership and voices and participation of low-income communities, communities of color that too often have not been at the center of policymaking conversation. So happy to be with you and appreciate the opportunity to share this information.
All right, thank you so much, Ruben. So already you asked for it, you're getting it. This is EV, everything EV. And it's pretty incredible the work that people on these organizations are doing. I'm praying for the day when you do not see those polluting school buses, that you know that it's going into the noses and the bodies of these poor little kids. Hopefully that's way in the past. We're going ahead. And it's pretty amazing. LADWP now, Mayor Garcetti committing to 100% clean energy by 2035. Incredible. So along those lines, I'm going to show a little cartoon right now, a little light break. And it's for Electric for All, which is a campaign to spread electric vehicle education across California. So Jackie, who you heard from, and her mother, Mama Linda, look for them at about 1 minute, 49 seconds. And I hope you enjoy this. Let me get this up and running.
The bakers and the doctors, the lawyers and the rock stars, the teachers and the preachers and the people in the bleachers. Every Californian has a reason to go electric. Mark fights against pollution, and he drives a good solution. An activist who wants to make a difference. He's a superhero with a reason to go electric. Chloe has a superpower any day and any hour to punch and accelerate flying down the interstate. She's a Californian with a
What? Me? Oh, I don't know if I can afford an electric car.
Actually, you might be surprised. Ray Leon's a mayor who cares so. He set up the green right at house. He likes putting zero drives like a superhero. He's a Californian with a reason to call electric. Mama Linda and Miss Jackie on clean air that comes with EVs. So they do electric car events for Watts and all his residents, sharing with them all the good reasons to call electric. To call electric. Fabiana is an artist, wants environmental justice. With clean air all across the state from Fresno to the Golden Gate. 6, 11, 20 more reasons, not including pets and all 4 seasons. Everybody's got a good reason to go electric. Yes, there's 40 million good reasons to go electric. Find the electric car, truck, SUV, or minivan that's right for you at electricforall.org.
All right, so I'm going to make sure that I stop this. So that was really cute. I love that. So if we're calling everyone that has an electric vehicle right now a superhero, then I would like to present our next speaker, my swimming friend, actually, Logan Blake, who has a beautiful Tesla, and he doesn't keep it to himself. He's carpooling with a bunch of folks. So that's great. So Logan Blake, I bring you to the forefront.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you for having me here. And I'm happy to share my experience as a Tesla owner. And what I think is I'm going to cover today is the purchase process for the Tesla, the rebates and tax credits, the insurance that I have right now, some fun Tesla features, give an overview of the cost of ownership, what I perceive as some of the benefits of ownership, and leave you with some additional resources. So the purchase process for the Tesla was fairly straightforward. I went to my local Tesla showroom in Pasadena, and it was a very soft sales process. There was no negotiation, basically. You go in and you're not negotiating on price, you're negotiating on what features do you want in your car. And the features are basically one price for everyone. There's a limited test drive around the block. So you get in and you test drive the type of Tesla that you're purchasing, and they take you around the block and you're out of the car within 5 minutes. The whole negotiation or sales process took about an hour. And then when it was time for delivery, I picked it up at a Tesla service station that was nearby. The model of car that I bought was the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. I bought it in 2019. It was blue. The base color of Tesla is black. And if you, so any additional colors that you want is an extra cost if you want to vary from black. The features of the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus, it included a standard autopilot, so it alerted you when you departed your lane unexpectedly, and actually, if you're about to get in an accident, it actually takes control of the car and moves and prevents that from happening. It's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. It comes with standard 18-inch wheel package, and the range is about 353 miles. It comes with a moonroof. There's what they call standard connectivity, which is basically navigation. And then it comes with a key card. So you're able to start your car with a key card in addition to using your phone. The estimated delivery at the time in 2019 was 4 to 6 weeks, but now delivery is 7 to 10 weeks. That's my understanding. Additional options available on the Model 3 are full autopilot, which is fairly expensive. It's an additional $10,000. You can also get dual motor all-wheel drive, which is an extended range model. You can get different wheel packages, but with different wheel packages from the standard 18-inch, you decrease your the range that you get from your vehicle. And then there's a premium navigation, premium connectivity package, which is $9.99 a month, which covers enhanced navigation, live traffic, visualization. The over-the-air technology updates can take place via your Wi-Fi or cellular. You get to stream music and media. You get an internet browser. I've connected my Netflix and Hulu accounts so that I'm able to sit in my car and watch TV when I have downtime or stream shows when I have downtime. There are federal EV tax credits available that you can avail yourself for. Unfortunately, once an automaker has sold approximately 200,000 vehicles of any model, they're phased out of the program. So there is a limit, if we have I think one of the presenters said we have 250,000 vehicles in California. I'm sure most of them are Teslas, so you don't get much of the benefits, the federal benefits federal tax credits if you have a Tesla anymore, I don't think. There are state and local tax rebates that I availed myself of. There's a clean vehicle rebate program, which offered by the state of California. And it offers up to $7,000 in rebates. The rebate varies by make and model. Right now, Tesla Model 3, I think, has a $2,000 rebate, but you must apply for the rebate within 3 months of purchase. Also, I live in Pasadena, and Pasadena Water and Power has a rebate program that gives you like $250 for purchasing a Tesla. So you submit the application and they send it back to you. You also, Southern California Edison also has a $1,000 rebate program. And one of the key things that I like is the HOV lane exemption, where you're able to drive in the carpool lane. Insurance is a big part of owning an electric vehicle. What I found out was that electric vehicles actually cost a little bit more to insure. So when I first insured the vehicle, my first year, I insured it with my regular insurer, AAA. And AAA was like, hey, this is an expensive car, bam. I was paying a lot of insurance for full coverage. I recently renewed my insurance and I went with Tesla. And Tesla insures their cars directly for 20 to 30% less than traditional insurers. So that's one of the ways in which you can benefit from owning a Tesla. Unfortunately, Tesla's insurance is only available in California, or fortunately, as the case may be. There's some fun features having a Tesla. One of them is that they have what they call the emissions testing mode, which is also known as fart mode. So it's great for pranking friends. They have a Santa mode. So during the holiday season, you can actually replace your car, the car visuals. The car is visualized as a sleigh in the car, and sleigh bells ring when you press the horn or when you put your indicator on. There's a romance mode, so it gives you a roaring fireplace on your touch screen and it blows hot air in. When you want to charge the car, you simply tell the car to open the butthole. And that's a cool feature that I recently discovered. Also, there's dog mode, so you're able to protect your car, your pooch if you leave it in the car, and you can name your vehicle. My vehicle is currently named Blue Bomber. One of the key benefits of owning a Tesla, actually, I think, is the cost of ownership. So, although Tesla's cost, the Model 3 costs anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000, $70,000. The model that I have is comparable to owning in terms of in terms of the cost of ownership to owning a Toyota Camry after 5 years or 60,000 miles. So Camrys cost significantly less, but with Teslas, you have lower maintenance costs, lower energy fuel costs. There's lower depreciation, and this offsets the higher insurance, the higher purchase price. I also have a video, which if I can share this presentation at a later point, you can get it from Alice. You can watch the calculation of the cost of ownership. So some of the benefits of owning a Tesla that I found that are meaningful to me is your phone is your key, so you don't need to carry around an extra set of keys. There are extensive supercharging locations. You get free software updates that practically give you a new car every couple of months. You get new features. Regenerative braking allows you to create new battery charge as you brake. The warranty is pretty nice. It's a 4-year, 50,000 basic warranty, and then an 8-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. There's virtually no maintenance with the Tesla. In the first year or two, you may have to look at your tires. You may have to make sure that your brakes, you have brake fluid and wiper fluid, but that's about it. There's a Sentry mode. So, for example, if in my case, what I worry about is if I'm being pulled over by the police, I can click a button and the whole thing is recorded. And it goes 10 minutes backwards. And the key benefit, obviously, of owning a Tesla is that, I'm an EV hero. I get to help save the environment, and I get to look good doing so. So there's some additional resources. So if you're looking for rebates and tax credits and benefits from owning a Tesla, you can go to pluginamerica.org, and you can search for eligible incentives by zip code. So that's a good way of finding out what you're eligible for in your community. Okay, so I'm available for questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you
so much, Logan. Thank you. You took kind of two presentations, the person that's the owner, and also you gave us some information on rebates, which is terrific. So we have two short speakers. They'll just take about 5 minutes each before we have a good question and answer. If you have any questions, please start putting them in the chat or just keep them in your mind, and we're going to have a good question and answer after this. So I now bring Tom Lee, who's the Program Supervisor of Technology Implementation of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. He's going to tell us a little bit more about electric vehicles and their relation to the transportation system in Los Angeles. So Tom.
Great. Thanks for having me, Alice. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. So let me start slideshow mode. Okay, can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So my name is Tom Lee. I work in the Technology Advancement Group on road incentives. I'm going to be going over incentives in this basin for light duty and heavy duty vehicles. So I'm going to start with light duty. This program you may have heard, it's called Clean Cars for All in other districts, but in our basin, we brand this Replace Your Ride. It allows you basically to turn in your older vehicle and get a grant for a newer, cleaner vehicle. It's only applicable to light duty vehicles, and your old vehicle has to be scrapped so we can realize the emission reduction. In lieu of a new vehicle or newer vehicle, you can also choose to get a credit card for public transit use or car sharing apps. Later this year, we're going to be offering e-bikes and bike sharing, probably by the summertime. Just a quick overview, this program allows you to receive up to $9,500 to purchase a clean vehicle. The funding amount depends on the household income. You also receive a higher amount if you live in a disadvantaged community. This program is unique. Well, it's sort of unique in that you can get a used vehicle and the grant does not change. So as you know, EVs depreciate, right? So you can possibly get a couple years old EV for half the cost of the original MSRP. And I've seen owners or participants out of pocket to get into a relatively new EV for only a few $1,000s. If you receive the vehicle in this program that needs charging, the participant can get up to additional $2,000 for EV charger installation. I'll go over that a little more in detail later on. We have 60 participating dealers that work with us in this program. And we have a call center that can take languages in Korean, Spanish, and what's the third one? Korean, Spanish, Chinese. How can I forget? I'm Chinese. Okay. Okay, next slide. Now, this program started in 2015. And since then, we've funded over 8,000 vouchers, around 65 million in funding. About 2/3 of them were the highest, cleanest technology vehicles, such as the plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles. We target low-income and disadvantaged communities. As you can see, a very high percentage of our participants fall in those categories. We also try to get the dirtiest cars off the road. The average retirement vehicles is around 1999, which is 21 years old. And the average miles on these are 180 for the one that's being scrapped. Okay, sorry, I didn't know this one had interactive. Go back. So who's eligible? You must meet the income levels. You'll see a table later on. You have to have a California driver's license. This is, after all, a California program, so we want California to get the emission benefits. You have to own the vehicle for at least 1 year. This is to prevent folks from just quickly getting a dirty car and try to get in the program right away. So you have to have at least some period of ownership. You have to reside within South Coast Air Basin or Coachella Valley. And the vehicle must have operated in California for the past 2 years. We try to make it equitable so more folks can benefit from this program, so only 1 voucher per household. And the vehicle must be 2012 or older. This is our qualifying income level. So you have a household number of 2, husband and wife, right? You make over 68,900, you don't qualify. And if you look to the left of that, if you make under 38,790 as combined income, you will qualify as the lowest tier, and you would get the highest funding amount. And this slide looks at basically the funding if you get a EV or plug-in hybrid. Now, if you live in disadvantage, that's DAC, you get 95. And if you don't live in DAC, you get substantially lower, $4,500. This is distribution of the vehicles that we've already funded. You guys are not going to be too happy with the blue bar, which is substantially high amount, plug-in hybrid. One of the reasons why we think that is these are low-income, 1 vehicle participants. So they are worried about range. So we are thinking of ways to upping the amount incentives for EVs so we can get the blue bar a little bit higher. We still do a decent amount from the EVs to get a substantial emission reduction from going to the gasoline to EV. This just shows the distribution of the participants in the 4 counties. Los Angeles, as you know, has the highest population. You got 71% numbers going to LA. But if you divide by the population per capita, the numbers actually draw even a little bit more. As far as program funding goes, right now, the program is fully subscribed. We've closed the program to new applications since last October, and we will reopen when the new round of funding comes back from CARB. We expect expect to be in August of this summer. And currently, we're still running the program. We're just taking care of the applicants already in the system. And currently, if you go into this our website now, what you can do is you can be notified when the program reopens. And you can get on the list. We call it notification list. So Logan already did a really good summary on the CVRP. The difference between that program, our program, is there's no scrapping in that program. Income cap is much higher than replace your right, and there's no cap for fuel cell. But in that program, not all vehicles are eligible. MSRP must be under $60,000, and plug-in hybrid have to have a range, battery-only range under 30. It is stackable with replace your right, and with other rebates that you saw Logan mention, you can get up to $16,000, $17,000 rebate total. Currently in that program, there are $10 million remaining, and they process pretty quick. So that's actually, from what I understand, last only about 2 months. You can't really talk about EVs without speaking of EV chargers. So I mentioned for the ROI program, you can get up to $2,000 reimbursed if you get a contractor to come in your house and install an EVSE. The permit has to be pulled, has to be signed off by your local city. Now, if you have not participated in Replace Your Ride, there is a program we have called a residential EV charging rebate. For that, you only get up to $500, depending on income, and it's only for the equipment. So now we're going to move on to infrastructure that's for a multi-unit dwelling, like an apartment building, or if you have a workplace, you're trying to apply for EV infrastructure. There's a Bay Area program that's coming up in 1 month, and that uses the VW funds. That's the funding they got for the cheating scandal for VW. And this allows you to get up to 100% for government-owned property, 80% for privately owned. That's for all eligible costs. So now we're going to go on to heavy-duty battery electric. We have 3 programs that are eligible for battery electric truck funding. The first one's called the Calm Warrior program, and the amount of funding depends on the miles usage, miles traveled in the last 2 years. And you got the Prop 1B program. And this program, it depends on, you have to have a minimum miles of 40,000 miles for each of the last 2 years. And for that program, you get a funding amount of $200,000 per EV truck. Excuse me. And we've got the VW Mitigation Trust Program. And that one also allows you to get up to $200,000 per EV truck. That program right now is fully subscribed, and the second installment will come on in 2022. Now for infrastructure, we've got 2 programs that has infrastructure funding. Prop 1B, if you apply for 1 truck, you get $30,000 for each charging station. You apply for 2 trucks, you get $60,000. So that multiplies that way. The Calm Warrior program, the amount of funding you get depends on what type of projects you're proposing. Now, if you have a project that's public accessible, also with renewables, you can get up to 65%. Oh, sorry, 75%, sorry. It is private renewables, 65. For public school systems where you apply for battery charging, this could be battery or fuel cell and hydrogen. You can get up to 100% of eligible cost. So my final slide here is for electric school bus and transit bus. For public school buses, South Coast has a public school bus program that we open up every 2 years. And you get quite a good amount for type A school buses. which are the van conversion type. You get up to $325K a year. And the way they do the infrastructure is similar to Prop 1B. Each one school bus you apply for, you can get up to $20K for infrastructure charging station. For the larger type C or D, you can get up to $375K per bus, and same amount for infrastructure. Multiply each application by 20K. The bottom bottom row are for the zero emission transit and shuttle buses. And you can apply for ZE in that category, either through the Moyo program, which currently is open till June 1st, 2021. And the second program that you can apply for ZE in transit shuttle buses is another VW Mitigation Trust Program. And this one is administered by San Joaquin APCD. This is a statewide program. Even though they're administering it, anybody in the state can apply. And the maximum you can get for transit bus, for EV transit bus is $180K. And for a shuttle bus is $160K. So I know there's a lot of information. I've got all the links in the page that I can supply to Alice, and anybody can get access to those links. And this really concludes my presentation. I'd like to thank you for your time and interest in our 2020. Oh, this is old slide that I had a recording on my Moyo slide. I apologize, but I think I stopped the voice. This is my staff at down road section at TAO. You can call any of us for more information regarding any of the programs. So I can answer questions at the very end.
Thank you so much, Tom. This really goes to show that there is significant amount of money out there for the large transportation trucks that we know that are polluting our roadways. And sometimes it's a matter if just lay people like us know about them, we can talk to truckers as well. So our last speaker, who's only going to speak for a few minutes to tell us about exciting infrastructure in Watts, is Naveed Ektarafi. He is the operations manager of Green Commuter, and this is a very exciting program that is going to be launched in Watts. So Naveed, and then if you have any questions, please be thinking about them, because right after Naveed, we're going to go into question and answer.
Great. Thank you so much, Alice. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. I'll be presenting on Megawatts today, which is a program coming to Watts later this year. It'll be a car share program. Our partner on this program is WLCAC. These are the elements of the program: electric vehicle car sharing, which will be available to anyone in the community at reduced rates, electric vehicle van pooling, so you can commute to work together in a group, and more than 3 mobility hubs, aka charging stations, that will also be coming, and 20 new charging stations for Watts, chargers, and also EV technician training for 30 Watts residents. Charging stations have already been installed at Jordan Downs Shopping Center, and then the installation of chargers at WLCAC and HACLA's property on Imperial are currently in development. And 1 to 2 more sites will be determined soon with input from the community. So if you have any locations or businesses within Watts that would like charging stations, my contact information is at the end. These are the chargers already on the ground in Jordan Downs Shopping Center. And we have level 2 and also DC fast chargers, level 3 chargers already available currently at no cost. So charging is free currently at this location. The vehicles that will be coming to Watts are the Tesla Model X for the 7-passenger vehicles. This will be mainly for van pool, but also available for car share. And Tesla Model 3 or Chevy Bolt, kind of a mid-size or a compact sedan coming, and these will be available for car share as well. Currently in Watts, there's already some charging station charging infrastructure. The green pins are level 2 chargers, which take, maybe 7 hours from a low state of charge. And the orange pin is the DC fast charger, and more will be added to this once we get the charging stations in the ground. This is our pricing so far. And again, no cars available right now, but you can download and sign up for our Green Commuter app and use the code megawatts 2020 to get early access to the program. Electric vehicle rentals will start at $5 an hour, $29 a day. And for van pools, we're looking at $0 to $54 per month per passenger. And that's to ride to work in a group, sharing the cost under $54 a month. This is our contact information. You can contact myself or Tamika Levi. She's the director at our company, and Halima from WLCAC. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you so much, David. That's really terrific. We have, as we've heard, a wonderful wealth of knowledge. I'd like to open it up to question and answer. But before I do, I just want to let you know about the rebates. You can go to cleanvehiclerebate.org, cleanvehiclerebate.org. That will give you the information on the rebates available from the state of California, from the Air Resources Board. They are running out of money. I think there's probably $2 million left out of 10 million until that pot of money is going to be replenished. I did check with a couple places and got an estimate. So for example, if you were interested in a Nissan Leaf, for example, Nissan Leaf is now offering an $8,500 rebate to everyone in the nation. And that is separate from anything else that you get. If you're thinking of an EV, what you want to do is you want to check with cleanvehiclerebate.org. I'll put these in the chat. You want to check with all of your utilities. SCE is offering $1,000 rebate for a new or leased EV. As Logan told us, there are some rebates available or incentives for charging stations. So there's a lot of information out there. The pots are dwindling, so you want to act now if possible, but there will be things available. So, all right, so let's open it up for question and answer. So I have one question for Naveed. Will the infrastructure chargers at the Freedom Plaza site be free for its lifetime?
Yes, well, the chargers will be, for the public, they won't be free. But for the car share use and van pool use, the charging will be free. We include the cost of charging with the rental of the vehicle. So that $5 an hour, $29 a day rental will be, charging will be included. But for the public use, we're not sure on the timeline, but it will likely not remain free for the lifetime of the chargers.
Okay, thank you, Naveed. Here's a question for Ruben. Ruben, how can we learn more about the racial justice component of Better World Group?
Hey there, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So the easiest thing is reach out to me at Ruben, R-U-B-E-N, at betterworldgroup.com, or visit betterworldgroup.com. There's some examples of the work that we do there. But we're one way to share how we've been doing this work that you all just saw is my colleague Daniela Siminovich had been working with Jackie Badejo and Miss Linda on the underwriting for the car sharing project back in its inception. And we recommended them to be featured in the Veloce ad and animation as one of the marquee local heroes promoting electric vehicles to the community of Watts. And so we are looking for both in education and awareness and in policy advocacy opportunities to lift up community leaders, communities of color, and make sure that they are front and center in policy design for prioritization, in the EV space.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We got another question. We got a lot of comments about Logan's car and what it does and all the bells and whistles on it. That's really funny. Okay, we have actually a serious question. Every year there is significant number of new teenage drivers on the road. That means new cars, pollution, and potentially more accidents. Are there any incentive programs for EVs for new teenage drivers? Now, that might be for me. I actually don't know of any. That is something that I can check into, but I don't think that there are incentives for new teenage drivers. But that is something that we can check into, Irela, and just pray for all the new drivers on the road as well. Okay. Here's another one. Older adults tend to have older cars. Low-income older adults depend on their benefits to sustain themselves. Will the rebates potentially affect their benefits? I believe the answer is no. No, it should not affect how much people are getting in terms of SSI or anything like that. And so I'd like to open it up to everyone. If you want to drop a question in the chat, or if one of our speakers just has a question for another speaker, just unmute yourself. There's also something where if you go down and you have reactions, you can actually raise your hand. All right. And then again, let's see, while I'm waiting for any raised hands, I just want to let you know, if you're thinking about a new or used EV, get all the information possible. If my suggestion is, when you go into dealership, don't talk to the person that's trying to sell you some. Have everything ready first. Have know the rebate, know everything, get all the information. Reach out to me if you're thinking of buying a new car, a new EV, and together we'll figure all of this out. So, any questions from anyone? I am dropping my information in the chat right now. Okay. All right. So if anyone doesn't have anything, I do want
Alice, sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to flag Jackie's question about the future of the rideshare industry, flying EVs, and Miss Linda was asking about the life of the battery. So I didn't know if there are folks that could speak to those issues in the chat.
Okay, the life of the battery. Is there anyone that's more of an expert? I can give you my answer.
I can speak to the life of the battery.
Yes.
The advancements in battery technology is, creating better thermal insulation in the batteries, which helps with longevity. Currently, right now, the cutting edge battery technology is coming from Tesla, and they're looking at the current electric vehicles, 300 to 500,000 miles of life on the battery currently, and within the next few years, they're looking at 1 million miles on the battery. Currently, the motors and all the driving components in the Tesla are good for 1 million miles. So you can swap out the battery halfway through its life, and it has a longer life, significantly longer life than a gas vehicle. Grandchildren, great-grandchildren, keep passing it down the family. So it's looking really good. And also, once the batteries do degrade to a point that it can't be used in a vehicle anymore, it can go to storage, energy storage in a grid level, and also the battery materials that can be recycled and reused and repurposed, so less mining has to happen.
Great, thank you. And Naveed, you seem to be a good person for this. What is the future of the rideshare industry? And speak on the flying EVs. Yeah, I think that's been mentioned, but I don't think it's.
Yeah, sure. So
Naveed.
As far as the future of rideshare goes, I think that's where we can look into self-driving vehicles that will potentially make the cost of will potentially, take people out of their vehicles once and for all. The cost of running an electric vehicle on a rideshare network that's full self-driving is significantly less than current levels of like Uber or Lyft, because you don't have to take into account the gasoline and etc. And also with van pooling and car pools, these are also great ways to lower emissions and carbon footprints. Yeah, so those are my inputs. As far as the flying cars go, I'm not sure what the timeline is on that. Hopefully sometime in our lifetime. That'd be really awesome.
Yes, all right. Okay, and then there are a couple of questions here. One, rebates for cars tend to come off your taxes. If you don't pay taxes, you won't get rebates. What rebates are directly non-tax related? So there are rebates. There are tax credits. I've seen that there's a tax credit of $7,000. However, that's when you file your taxes. So the CARB rebate, the state rebate, you do yourself and it does not come off your taxes. So you apply for it yourself and then you get a check for that. And then any rebates that are from the dealership are not related to your taxes either, such as the $8,500 for the Nissan Leaf. All right, so there is a question. Oh, okay. So Tom Lee had more input on the seniors. If the benefits affect the rebates for seniors, the South Coast Air Quality Management District, if someone applies for a rebate that way, we do send 1099s to grantees for the Replace Your Ride. So it can potentially place them on the next income tier. I hope that answers your question. So that's one piece of information from the South Coast Air Quality Management. All right, anyone else, if you have any questions, just raise your hand. Otherwise, I am going to say a big shout out for Watts Conda and their Earth Week Festival, which is going on now. If you want information, please go to wattsconda@gmail.com. All right, wattsconda@gmail.com for more information. You can sign up for their newsletter to stay informed, and you can subscribe to their YouTube channel. So basically, everything now is going to be on their YouTube channel, which is really, really cool. And I'm going to put this again right at the bottom so everyone can see it. There's an Earth Week Festival Poetry Jam featuring Watts Writers Workshop and a special tribute to the Watts Prophet. And that's tomorrow between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. But there's so much more going on as well. So I just copied and pasted and put it into the chat below. All right, any other questions before we end this? So, doesn't look like it. As a follow-up, you will receive the link to this recording, and you will receive a link to resources like Clean Vehicle Rebate the information about pressing EV legislation, and the information on Watt's conduct. So I would like to thank all of the presenters tonight. You guys were really great. We got a good overview of EVs and electrification. And happy Earth Day, Earth Month. Every day is Earth Day.
Yes, and I would like to add one more thing. I would like to also thank each and every one of you for being here, those who tuned in on YouTube as well. The purpose of this platform, yes, is to be educational, have engagements which empower everyone. And in this time, as things are changing in the world, I just urge everyone to be as creative in this space and be big and audacious with your thinking when it comes to the environment, because there's no limit to the things that we can do. And I'm grateful for each and one of you. Thank you.
You're muted, Alice.
So thank you, everyone. And we will get back to you by email and answer any other questions that may have come in the chat. All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alice.